You've been disciplined your entire life. That's how you got here. You showed up when no one else did. You worked weekends. You said no to distractions. You built something from nothing because you were willing to do what others won't. And now your body's falling apart. Not because you stopped caring, not because you got lazy, but because that same discipline that built your business is now destroying your health. And you don't know why. Welcome back to Iron Suits, where strength wears the crown. I am your host, Marwan Killu. Let me tell you what's happening. Just the microphone. Discipline is a tool. It's not a virtue. It's not a personality trait. It's a specific cognitive technology designed to override immediate impulses in favor of delayed outcomes. And it only works under specific conditions. Stable environments, predictable schedules, clear rules, known consequences. That's when discipline thrives. But your life isn't stable anymore. You're managing 3 crises before 9 a.m. You're on calls across 5 different time zones. Your calendar is a war zone. Your sleep is fragmented. Your attention is split between 17 competing priorities. And you're still trying to use the same discipline that worked when you had one job, one city, one set of variables. That's a problem. Here's what you tell yourself. I just need to be more consistent. I need to lock in. I need to stop making excuses. So when you set the alarm for 5 a.m. again, you commit to the gym 6 days a week. You plan your meals on a Sunday. You write it all down on your planner. And for 3 weeks it works. Then something breaks. A deal goes sideways. A key person quits. A family emergency. A flight gets delayed. And suddenly the routine that you built collapses. And you blame yourself. You tell yourself you're undisciplined, that you're not serious, that if you really wanted it, you would find a way. You're also thinking, if I can't ever control this, what does that say about me? But that's not what happened. That's what happened is that you built a system so rigid in an unstable environment. And the rigid system shatters under pressure. Discipline is expensive. It costs energy. It costs attention. It costs decision-making capacity. Every time you override an impulse, you burn glucose. Every time you resist temptation, you deplete your executive function. Every time you force yourself to do something you don't want to do, you tax your prefrontal cortex. And you only have so much capacity in each day. When your environment is stable, it's fine. You can budget for it. You wake up, variables are known, the plan is clear, and you execute. But when your environment is chaotic, when every hour brings a new fire, when your cognitive load is already maxed out, just managing your business, there's nothing left over for discipline. So the alarm, just give me 1 second, this microphone is annoying. This is keep coming off. All right, let's try this. Lock it in. There we go. That's better. Now you can hear me better. So the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and you don't move. Not because you're weak, but because your brain is protecting you from collapse. You've been treating your body like a startup problem. You think if you just work harder, push longer, grind through, you're going to break through the other side. And that worked in business. But your body doesn't run on grit. It runs on hormones, sleep architecture, circadian rhythm, autonomic balance, metabolic flexibility. And all those systems are regulated by stability. When your environment is stable, your body knows what to expect. It knows when food is coming. It knows when sleep is coming. It knows when stress will end. And so it invests in recovery. It builds muscle, it burns fat, it repairs tissue. But when your environment is unstable, your body doesn't know what's coming next. So it doesn't invest, it conserves. It holds on to fat. It breaks down muscle. It shuts down non-essential processes like testosterone production and deep sleep. Because in an unstable environment, survival beats optimization. And no amount of discipline can override that. Here's a lie you've been sold. Discipline equals freedom. You guys ever heard that book by Jocko Willink, Discipline Equals Freedom? You've heard that, right? You've repeated it and you've built your whole identity around it. Okay? And that's true. That's true. Don't get me wrong. That's true. And no knocking the author. That's true under certain conditions. But in unstable environments even, discipline doesn't equal freedom. It equals fragility. Because the more rigid your system, the more vulnerable you are to disruption. You need 7 hours of sleep, but you only got 4 because of late flight. You need to train fasted, but you had to take a breakfast meeting. You need to hit your macros, but you're eating airport food between cities. And now your entire system breaks because discipline doesn't adapt. It only executes. You think the problem is willpower, but willpower isn't the issue. Willpower is what you use when your environment is working against you. When you're tired, stressed, overworked, under-recovered, and your body is screaming for rest, and you force yourself to train anyway. That's willpower. And you can do that for a while. But willpower is finite. Like, ever had that feeling when you like the kids just keep nagging you for something, dad, 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 and the end is just like, fuck it, just do it. Okay, I don't care, right? And it's almost like kids have this knowledge before we do, right? They know the more they're going to push, the easier it will be to sort of say yes in the end. It's a bit like my boxer puppy as well. They'll just keep pushing me or my wife. They know that's one person is going to break, right? They're just going to keep, especially the boxer, will just keep pushing when we walk, pushing, and just be stubborn and be like, I know you're going to give him before that. But he keeps pulling and then he keeps bringing him back. And he's like, I'm going to win in the end. And so the more unstable your environment is, the faster you're going to burn through it. And so you end up in this cycle. You white knuckle your way through 2 weeks of perfect execution. Then you crash. Then you hate yourself. Then you start over again. And you think that's just the cost of being disciplined. But it's not. It's a cost of using the wrong tool for the job. Let me tell you what you're not saying out loud. You're not saying you're exhausted. You're not saying you don't recognize your body anymore. You're not saying you feel betrayed by the same work ethic that built everything else in your life. You're not saying you started to wonder if this is just how it is now. You're not saying you're afraid you've missed your window. But what you're thinking is, but you're thinking it. You're also thinking everyone else seems to figure this out, right? Here's what discipline can't do. It can't create energy you don't have. It can't override the nervous system stuck in sympathetic overdrive. It can't force a muscle growth. It can't force muscle growth, rather, when cortisol is chronically elevated. You can't manufacture testosterone when you're sleeping 4 hours a night. You can't compensate for a system that's fundamentally out of balance. Discipline is a decision-making tool. It's not a metabolic intervention. And the more unstable your environment, the less effective it becomes. You've been optimizing the wrong variable. You've been trying to increase effort. But effort isn't your limiting factor. Your limiting factor is stability. Not calendar stability, not schedule stability, psychological stability. Your body needs to know it's safe. It needs to know resources are coming. It needs to know stress is temporary. And right now, it doesn't know any of that. So it's protecting you the only way it knows how, by conserving, by shutting down, by refusing to respond to training the way it used to. Not because you're not disciplined, but because the system is trying to survive. This is why effort stops working. You're putting in the same work you used to, maybe even more, but your body isn't responding, because effort only produces results when the system is ready to adapt. And your system isn't ready. It's depleted, dysregulated, running on fumes, and you're still trying to discipline your way through it. You're also thinking, I used to be able to do this with 3 hours of sleep. What you're about to hear isn't motivational, it's structural. Here's a shift. Discipline isn't your problem. Your problem is you're still using a tool designed for stability in an environment that's inherently unstable. And you're blaming yourself when it doesn't work. But it was never going to work. Not because you're weak, not because you're undisciplined, but because the conditions changed and you didn't. You can't control your schedule. You can't control your travel. You can't control when the deal closes or when the crisis hits or when kids get sick. But you can control how your body responds to instability. You can build resilience instead of rigidity. You can train for adaptability instead of perfection. You can create systems that function under pressure instead of systems that only work in ideal conditions. That's the difference. And that's what separates the people who stay in shape for 2 decades from the people who cycle through the same 12-week plan over and over again. Discipline got you here. but it won't get you to where you used to. It reminds me of a book by, I believe it's Dan Kennedy, which goes like this: the skills that got you into Egypt aren't the skills that will get you to the promised land. I read this book once and I was like, oh, that's really cool. The title's really cool, huh? I think it was Dan Kennedy. Don't quote me on it. I'm pretty sure it's Dan Kennedy. Okay, so discipline got you here, but it won't get you to where you need to go. Because where you need to go isn't more effort. It's more intelligence. Listen to that again. Where you need to go isn't more effort. It's more intelligence. And intelligence means building a system that works in the world you actually live in. Not the world you wish you lived in. Your body doesn't need more discipline. It needs a different strategy. One that accounts for chaos, for pressure, for the fact that your life will never be stable again. And that's not a weakness. That's just the cost of the life that you built. You're also thinking, what if I'm the only one who can't make this work? You know this already. You've known it for a while. You just haven't wanted to admit it. Because admitting it means letting go of the thing that's always worked. And that's uncomfortable. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is grinding yourself into the ground while pretending it's discipline. This isn't about motivation. This isn't about trying harder. This is about understanding why the old rules don't apply anymore and what to do about it. You've probably felt this already. That moment when you realize you're not failing, the system is. But here's the part most people never question. If discipline breaks down in chaos and your life is never going to start again. If discipline breaks down in chaos and your life is never going to be stable again, what actually replaces it? Because doing nothing isn't an option, and grinding harder is what got you here. In the next episode, I'm going to show you why most systems still fail high performers, even the smart ones, and why the real constraint isn't effort, motivation, or time. It's the way your body is interpreting the threat. It's the way your body interpreting threat. And until that changes, nothing else will. That's next. That's all for today. I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, share it with another leader who is too comfortable, because as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. And that's how we spread the message. Hey, we don't run ads on the show. We purely rely on word of mouth, so to speak. Make sure you follow me on my socials. You can even watch this on YouTube at youtube.com, Marwan Killu. I am also on Facebook, which is facebook.com, Marwan Killu, or on LinkedIn, which is linkedin.com, Marwan Killu Fitness. Make sure you hit subscribe so you get notifications when the next episode is live. And leave me a comment. Tell me how much you like these episodes or how much you don't like them. Tell me I'm an asshole, all right? But you know that I'm right, okay? Any comments will be welcome, good or bad. Until the next episode, have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.